you don't hear me attacking certain subjects very, very often. One of those subjects is anything pertaining to First Take, ESPN, what's written. I pride myself on being a big boy. I can take it. It doesn't matter to me what people say most of the time. And I'll confess to you, one of the biggest reasons it doesn't matter is because I know at any given moment I can reach out and touch folks anytime I want to. So why do I need to worry about it? But there are certain times where enough's enough. Enough's enough. And, you know, I've listened to quite a few people over the last few weeks, particularly since the layoffs occurred at ESPN, especially Dan Le Batard, who I'll get into in just a few minutes. But, you know, The Athletic wrote some article about ESPN's First Take. And the article was entitled, Skip and Stephen A. Embraced Debate, Played the Hits, and Changed TV. Sounds very flattering. Very touching, I might add. If you just read the headline, it sounds very touching. Don't you all agree, y'all? Don't y'all all agree? It seems very, very touching, right? Were you emotionally taken back by the headline? I mean, really, really nice. Until you read the damn thing. And when you read it, it was basically a puff piece and an endorsement for Skip Bayless. Now, let me say something. I have no problem with a nice piece for Skip Bayless. Haven't spoken in a while. We haven't worked together for 7 years. As I repeated and reiterated on this show and various others, I will always be grateful for what Skip Bayless has done for my career. Regardless of how Charles Barkley feels about him or a plethora of athletes or other people, you're not going to get me to throw shade on my guy. We don't have to speak very often. We live two completely different lives. We're very, very busy and all of this other stuff. But the one thing that I have never failed to acknowledge is that Skip Bayless jump-started First Take. And he will always be synonymous with First Take. So anybody that wants to give him love for that, I don't have a problem with it. I'd be the first to do it. But when you write a piece like The Athletic did, and you're quoting everybody from Jamie Horowitz to Skip Bayless to Rob Parker to Rochelle Marquezine to former producer Kevin Reeder, to Jay Crawford, to John Skipper. They're all gone from ESPN. Great people. I talk to Jamie Horowitz all the time. Rochelle's one of the most wonderful women you'd ever want to meet in your life. John Skipper and I just spoke the other day. I'm not throwing any shade on them. I'm saying when you're writing a piece, and it's supposed to be about First Take, and you're talking about everybody from the past, what exactly is it that you're trying to say? We got an executive VP at ESPN who has overlooked and overseen ESPN for the last 6.5 years minimum. There is one sentence from him. Talking to me was like damn near pulling teeth. I mean, let's just call it like it is. And not only was that the truth, but it was also like, the days of past. And this is what First Take is. First Take has changed over the years. But that's not why I bring up this subject. I bring up this subject because whether it's Skip, who's going to be back on the air on Undisputed on August 28th, there's a promo. Whether it's somebody talking about the days of yesteryear, whether it's The Athletic today, whether it's some other outlet another day, whether it's Dan Le Batard another day, First Take is mine's, baby. And it's Molly Karam's. You ever heard of a guy named Pete McConville? You haven't. Do you know that when First Take was Cold Pizza before it got named First Take, there was a debate segment within the show Cold Pizza? It was created and produced by Pete McConville, who's now a big-time producer for First Take. Along with my man Tom DeCourty, along with my man James Dunn, miss my man Antoine Lewis. Casualty of the layoffs, God bless him. Did a great job for us for a decade. But it's a different day. And when I sit around and I listen to people bloviate about where ESPN, it used to be this way. What the hell y'all talking about? What you talking about past tense for? We ain't going anywhere. The reason why I wanted to start the day off with this subject on this podcast is because I see the promos for other people. I get the impression of what people are wishing for. I'm not going away. I thought, fellas, I couldn't be more fired up about this upcoming year. You think I'm fading? You think First Take is going to fade? You think that we going to sit up there and lay down and just let others come along, or we going to take them out? Let's go. Let's go. I can't wait. I might come off vacation early because I got time in August, too. I might come off vacation early in August. I can't wait. Hell y'all think this is? Everybody talking about what it used to be. We're number one. And I'm not just talking about First Take. I'm talking about ESPN. See, I got this little agitation that swells up inside of me when I see people talking about the network, particularly people who used to work there. Because if you notice something about me, I will come to my own defense all day, every day. You come at me, I'll come right back at you at my discretion. But what I won't do is constantly lament an employer that was once good enough for me to take money from. That's BS. It really, really is. I'm listening to Dan Le Batard, and I guess that it was some show from the other day, because obviously it was in the aftermath of the layoffs and you know, a sad day, the worst day in the history of ESPN and all of this stuff because of the layoffs. Of course it was a bad day. Of course that's not something you celebrate. Of course you take no joy in folks losing their jobs. I know that, and as I will remind this audience, as sad as I am, and as wishful as I am that every single one of those folks land on their feet and ultimately recapture a prosperous career that they had at ESPN, that they do it somewhere else, I will remind everybody they're casualties of a layoff. Because ESPN lost $5.5 billion. The parks. And in theaters, not the situation in Florida with Governor DeSantis and the don't say gay policy, or what was labeled that. That ain't the reason, contrary to what y'all want to believe. See, y'all talking emotion, I have facts. That is not true. Parks, movie theaters, and sporting events disappearing. It's a lot of money to make up for. That's what happened. But y'all talk about, oh my Lord, I'm looking Elamine Hassan, rather. I'm sorry to mess up your name, Elamine. You know that. Got love and respect for you. He on the Dan Le Batard show, and he's talking too. And I'm looking at Dan Le Batard, and I'm still disgusted. Still disgusted, even though Dan Le Batard is my friend, and I love him. But I'm still disgusted about how he came at me with that question on his damn show. I hate what you and Skip Bayless have done to sports. Like his ass has been doing accounting. Did you have highly questionable? Was our daddy on the show with us? That was you. You. By the way, I love Mr. Le Batard. Papa de Le Batard. No shade on him either. Please don't take this that way. That's not what I mean by that. I'm talking about your comfort. You was on the show just looking at your father saying hi and giving him a hug and a kiss. You were debating. That's what you were doing. It amazes me how somebody like a Dan Le Batard will sit up there and lament the state of affairs in an industry you are participating in. You sitting on the air, I don't know how long ago it was, with Jamel Hill talking about how, you know what, it's a great thing you left. Really? Okay. Probably is. Because I know you're gifted at what you do, and you're a great person. You know I love you, but I'm getting on Dan Le Batard about this a little bit. Why is ESPN always a topic of discussion like this? And why are folks coming off like we're losing? Subscribers have diminished. We're in 72 million homes now, not the 90 plus million or even 100 million that we were years ago. Do you have any idea how dominant ESPN in the sports landscape? We're number one. No one's close. No one's close. Subscribers have dipped because we have a younger generation with the advent of social media and the digital stratosphere, and they found different options other than linear television to watch a product. It's very simple. Dan Le Batard is one of the most brilliant people you will ever meet. He knows this. What you bitching for? What you don't have in subscribers, you have in the digital stratosphere. Lesson to everybody out there in today's day and age and the direction that the business is going in, if you don't have a footprint within the realms of social media, chances are it's going to be challenging for you to maintain being gainfully employed. Did I say anything disrespectful? Did I say anything false? It's that simple. How do you not know that? Of course you know it. But we don't want to acknowledge that because it's ESPN. We want to sit up there and look at ESPN like the big bad wolf. And then some of you fools out there forgetting that I own this damn podcast. This is my podcast. I decide what I'm going to talk about. I decide what I'm going to say. You've seen me on television for years working for ESPN saying what the hell I wanted to say. All of a sudden, I'm a tippy toe now that I got my own platform that I own and I operate, that I pay for? Are you on drugs? What drug are you sniffing? That's not how I roll. But the facts alter, or at least give me cause to pause for a second. Let me give you some of these numbers, y'all. Because naturally, being at ESPN, I can simply call up stats and numbers. Do y'all care to hear any of them? I mean, does it matter to you? Does it matter to any of y'all? ESPN Digital remained number one in sports category with 103.5 million unique visitors. ESPN Digital achieved its best May ever by unique visitors, surpassing its next competitor by a record-breaking margin of 39.8 million. The runner-up would be Yahoo Sports, who's pretty damn good, by the way. CBS is behind that. Bleacher Report is behind that. Sports Illustrated is behind that. Minute Media, the Players Tribune, is behind that. STN Video is behind that. USA Today Sports Media Group is behind that. Whistle Network is behind that. Major League Baseball is behind that. What y'all talking to us like we losing for? And I say we because that's my day job. What y'all think y'all doing? I'm just tired of listening to folks bantering back and forth and acting like, listen, it's hard times, it's hard times, it's hard times. I mean, what has happened to the worldwide leader? What has happened to ESPN? Business has happened. May of 2003, ESPN laid off 400 staffers. Where were y'all then? Oh, you were employed by ESPN. November 2015, ESPN laid off 300 staffers. Where were you then? Oh, you were employed by ESPN. April 2017, 100 on-air talent was laid off. What was the number the other day, fellas? 20. 100 were laid off in 2017. 100. November 2017, 150 staffers. 6 months later, 150 staffers laid off. November 2020, 300 staffers laid off. Let me do my math here. 800, 1,100, 1,250 folks have been laid off by ESPN since May of 2013. No one was surprised. Because when you're represented by a company like Disney and you have stockholders and shareholders to answer to, and you have budgets that you have to meet, and the mandate is that you lost $5.5 billion, this is what comes with it. So you have to make sure you transition yourself into being a liability or an asset. You have to make a distinction between the two, because just coming to work every day and doing your job, no matter how great you are, folks are going to look at the numbers. That's why I came on the air and I told you I could be next. What I meant by that is if my ratings drop, I could be next. If my subscribers wasn't growing by the thousands each day, would I have this podcast? When you see people successful, why do we deem them successful? Because they generate revenue, not lose it. What do you think gonna happen to Dan Le Batard's podcast if he ain't generating any numbers? What if Dan Le Batard walked in tomorrow and said, I can't pay y'all. I'm not making any money. We're losing money. Because we got stockholders and shareholders to answer to. Is he going to be the devil? Y'all are something else. Y'all are something else. But I'm here for it. And let me tell y'all something. There's a couple other things before I move on to Mrs. Pippen, or formerly Mrs. Pippen and Michael Jordan's son. Before I move on to that, I want to say something else that's very, very important for y'all to understand. When I saw Hassan, I never called him by his last name. That's why I always mispronounce it, and I apologize for that. That's not intentional, my brother. You know I love you. But he was talking about First Take at one point on Dan Le Batard's show, and he was talking about how Brian Winters comes on the air, and they're really the only ones, people like him and Woj are the only ones who've done any reporting. I haven't done any reporting on First Take in my decade on the show. I haven't broken news. I haven't gotten interviews. I haven't done any reporting, really. Really? That's what we're doing now? I saw Jamel Hill on Dan Le Batard's podcast, but I think that was many months ago and stuff like that, when she said, hey, ESPN wants black faces, not black voices. Who the hell am I, Michael Jackson? I lost my complexion or something? What about Ryan Clark? What about Marcus Spears? What about Louis Riddick? What about Kimberly Martin? What about Damian Woody? What about Bart Scott? What about Keyshawn before he left? We have black voices all over the place. Black face? I'm only bringing this up, ladies and gentlemen, because honest to God, I never saw it. I don't know the difference between what was posted yesterday or a week ago and what was posted 6 months ago. But I'm seeing this, I'm like, what? Jemele Hill has moved on. As a colleague, I miss her every day. Wonderful talent. Deep sister. Conscientious, cares about a lot of people. I would never, ever, ever think to utter that any network she is on want black faces but not black voices. I would never do that. Not in a million years. Just because she's on it. Because her voice mattered that much to our network. Dan Le Batard's voice mattered that much to our network. Why y'all think I got offended when I said to him, well, what the hell were you doing? Teaching some journalism class or something? Because I would never assume that Dan Le Batard is being extra for the purposes of trying to sell television and not being his true, authentic self. Do you have any idea how insulting it is to make those kind of implications? But it's all right. Because I love you anyway. You and your crazy ass self. Ain't nothing to talk about with Jemele Hill. I love her always. And Amin El Hassan. I don't know why I kept pronouncing his name. Amin El Hassan. Okay? Got respect and love for you too, my brother. I'm just saying, damn. Pause for a second, y'all, and think about some of the stuff you're saying and who you're talking about, ultimately. But as it pertains to the industry, and back to the Athletic and the article that they wrote, supposedly about First Take, but it seemed like they was pulling teeth to get a quote from me and Dave Roberts. I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all. Let me tell y'all something right now. I have been motivated all my career to be great at whatever it is that I strive to do. Sometimes I pulled it off, sometimes I haven't. I have never, ever been more motivated to succeed on First Take than I am right now. Y'all done started something. I don't give a damn who it's against. Because it ain't just about me. I got an A-team. And it starts with Jimmy Pitaro. And it sifts on down to Dave Roberts. And it comes on down to me and Pete McConville and Tom DeCourty and James Dunn. And damn it, Antoine Lewis, I wish you were still there too. And of course, Molly Kiram. She's the truth, y'all. She the damn truth. Ryan Clark gonna be back. The pivot, baby, he gonna pivot right on over to First Take. He gonna be back. Swagoo, Marcus Spears, he gonna be back. Dan Orlovsky, he's gonna be back. Mina Kimes, she gonna be back. Mad Dog Russo, baby, he's gonna be back. And that's just for starters. Y'all done started some shit. I promise you, I ain't worried about a damn soul. I love competition. Assuming there is any. We have been number one. First Take for 11 and a half straight years. We have been number one for 7 and a half straight years. We've been number one for 2.5 straight years. And we number one now. Y'all woke up the wrong brother. Y'all thought I was bad before. Buckle up. You ain't seen a damn thing yet. And I think it's safe to say that I ain't just saying that about ESPN's First Take. I'm saying that about the entire damn network. We win. And by the way, I said that when they fired me. So don't act like I'm making it up now. Or I'm speaking because I'm at the network and I'm under the umbrella. Y'all did say I was the face of the network. Pat McAfee's arrived. ESPY's is tonight. He gonna be featured on there. That brother's something special. We just getting started, y'all. We ain't taking a backseat to any damn body. Who the hell y'all think y'all are? Let's get it on. Let's get it on.